Hi, Deacon John Wilson here, Education Enrichment Director for West Angeles Church, here to talk to 11th grade parents going into the summer, proceeding 12th. I had a parent ask me a great question the other day, which I was letting people know in an email that, I'm willing to sit down and start students on their applications. And of course, the question that was asked is very relevant to this video. The question basically was, do I start June, July, August, September? I'll add October to it. But that's not exactly the right question for what I'm thinking you should be doing. You should at least sit down with someone, if it's not me, someone else, and come up with an affordable college list. And that should happen now, as soon as possible. And that's free if you come to me. I need the transcript and the test scores. And if you don't have scores, that's fine. To start having some philosophical conversations about the kinds of colleges that should be looked at right now. That's what should happen now. The second part of the question is then what? If a student is extremely busy in the summer, by that I mean two of the following things. They're doing two of these things. There's no way they're gonna get any applications done in the summer. They're too busy. They're busier than school when they have two of these. And they might as well just wait till September. I don't think I've ever actually said that. I've implied it, but please think about summer, how busy your student is. Now, and that's why a lot of you won't have your students in my summer program because they're too busy to benefit from strengthening their math and their career interest skills and their motivation. They're too busy. They'll getting it another way, I guess, is what you should say to me, and I think you would. But let me tell you the list of things. Remember, any two of these, I don't think you should be doing applications, especially if you're going to be a multiple application student. You could wait and start in September with maybe your CSUs since they don't have essays. I hope I'm clear on that. That's really my advice. But to do the readiness conference, you need to do it now. So you can start thinking about what that list will look like when you start. And it will affect some of your decisions in the summer, I think, when someone comes along like me and shows you about the college process. It may affect how you spend your summer. You may find out students have time anyway. But anyway, let me give you the list. If they're working on any kind of summer job or internship, a lot of you have them doing that already. They're already signed up. You have a relative or a friend, they're going to be working. If they're going to be working anything more than 2 hours, and it always is, it's always 6 to 8 hours a day, sometimes more. They're going to be too tired if they, especially if they have one of these other things. If they're in athletics of any kind, even if you're working just 4 hours a day or every other day or whatever, if they're in any kind of athletics, summer volleyball club, basketball club, 7-on-7, they're not going to get anything done this summer. A lot of them playing going in July to Las Vegas and that big thing they have there, and because all the kids are online thinking that's where they'll be discovered, and that's fine. But remember, that's another event on the list. If they're doing any kind of community youth program, um, summer job, or even if it's just a youth activism, there's a lot of those where there are people that are teaching your youth to be politically active and on race issues, et cetera, social justice issues. They're going to be too busy. They keep them really busy in that. If they're away at some kind of camp with the church for 5 or 6 weeks, that's going to affect their availability. I'm a fan of camps, but and all these are great involvements. I'm not saying don't be involved. The question was, how do I know if I should do it now or do it in the fall? If you have them busier in the summer than they'll be otherwise in the school year, then that's a clue. And usually two of those activities. The other thing I see a lot of it, extended travel with family. A couple years ago, I worked with a student. Parent was excited, youth was excited. And then we learned at the last minute they had already decided she was going to go away for 2 months and be with her father, the other parent. That's fine. And mother had the expectation that she'll be able to work on stuff there. That situation and two others, it was a disaster, especially post-pandemic. Parents are really more into their kids. And if the other parent has time of custody only one time a year, they got their relatives they want them to see and things they want the student to do. And it doesn't include doing essays for us. Sometimes if they're in conflict with you, they won't let them touch anything that you had to do with that they feel they weren't involved in. So, and sometimes there's not even conflict. It's just the parent has plans for them. Okay, I probably missed some things too, like students who are in performing arts. If they're taking tutoring and classes and they're going to perform in an orchestra or a play at the end of the summer, they're too busy. Not the single event, but remember I said any two of those. You know, replay this video and do the list again. I won't have time to do an attachment, but those are typically the way you can tell if they're going to do a lot of events. And you might say that differently. You might say they're already planning to do things because a lot of times post-pandemic, the kids are setting their own schedules. And this was something that was desirable for you to do coming out of the pandemic. You had your own things you were doing, but now we're getting to try to do applications. And I think if they've decided to do two of those things, or you've decided for them, they're going to do it, or both of you had decided that you're going to do two things on that list, probably the summer is not going to be a good time to do applications. But remember what I said, the College Readiness Conference is super important. And if I've asked you to get the transcript together and some test scores, if you have them together, that's for our college readiness meeting. And then in that meeting, we'll come up with a preliminary, very preliminary college list. And really, that's it. Well, I'll probably ask about availability to start, but if the student's busy, they're busy. Now, I will note when you get to the fall, students like that typically are busy in the fall too. You have them busy there too. And I've watched many students doing applications the day before the deadline, and they're terrible, the applications. I know they're not getting into schools. It never works. I get calls all the time the day before, can you help my son or daughter? And I realize they've dribbled away an entire summer and all of the fall. So November 29th, we're trying to get the UC essays done. I haven't seen anybody doing their essays the last week have a successful UC application. It just does not happen. So I hope that helps. A lot of you have relatives that are going to work with your students on the applications, and you won't need our services, but you'll find out the same thing, that they don't have time to work with that relative, and it may cause conflict in your house and your family. Um, and it's understandable that that can occur. Maybe this will help you to understand that because when they're busy, your big thing is there's things that are more important. This is more important. Well, the young mind, the frontal lobes of the brain are not as developed as ours. And they're going to tell you, no, I got to do this, got to do that. Remember, they have no time for fun either. They want to go out with their friends. It's summertime. So those are all the indicators of whether or not a student is going to be able to start their application. So when I get the question, and I've gotten it now 5 times, some version of it, when do people normally do it? Well, people who have successful applications, they do something in the summer. But I've seen students pull together in the fall and go to schools, but it depends on how busy they are in the fall. It's all boiling down, parents, to how busy the student is. Sorry this video got a little long, but I think you get my point. Please also, would you click like and subscribe if you want to get more videos like this, improve the reach of our videos. Leave a comment, would you too? It'd be great if you leave a comment and let me know you see this, what you thought about this video. Again, this was for 11th grade parents rising to 12th grade in the fall who are going to be doing applications. God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.